Good morning. Good morning, beloved Ventura people. So great to see you here. Cassidy, who is our practitioner for today.
Thank you. So I just want to invite our spiritual warriors to rise up. And I just want to take a moment to look at all of your beautiful faces. And I invite you, if you choose, to reach out to the person next to you and hold their hand. And then simply close your eyes, settling into this amazing moment. I know there is one life, that life of God, that life of strength, of power, of wisdom, of grace, of courage. I know that that Spirit of God is centered in each and every one of us, that we are that epitome of courage, of hope, of wisdom, of kindness. I know that this spiritual community is a beacon that stands as a force of goodness no matter what the tragedy. That Grandma is strong, and that strength comes from each heart that comes into this sacred sanctuary and says yes, yes to the goodness. And today is a good day. Today is a good day to be with those you love so that we can be a loving force of kindness into our community and into the world. We have been blessed by many angels that have protected us. The firemen who leave their homes to come and protect ours, the police who guard, to every heart that has helped and that will continue to help to rebuild this community. We are strong and we will rise up, because that's what we do here. We share love and we share hope and we share kindness. So today is a blessed day. And I am so grateful to be a part of this community. And I am so grateful to be with each person that I love so dearly in my heart. And I continue to pray for our strength and for our courage. And so with a heart filled with gratitude and amazing grace, I simply say yes to today and release it into the power and the wisdom of the almighty law that says goodness prevails. And so in this moment, I invite you to center into that. And together we say, and so it is.
And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Let us allow what is to be here present with whoever we are, wherever we are, and whatever is. And breathe deeply into that presence, into the intimacy of it, into the vulnerability of it, and just allow it. As we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
Hope is Not Lost by Jessica Millsaps. When the desperation hit, when the people cried in the streets, when everything felt at loss, hope stayed, even though fleeing would be easier. When the eyes were full of tears, when kids and families were torn apart by the last desperate grasp, hope tried. When all else gave up, when all else backed off, when people lost all they had, hope flew. When they cried, when the world was shocked with desperation and despair, when nothing seemed good, hope worked. Hope was only a tiny glimmer, but hope was still there. She ran to those who needed her. She worked to help. When all else failed, hope didn't. She flew through us all, letting us know we still had her. We just needed to look hard enough. Hope was there. hope remembers. And so it is.
And so it is. And so we breathe into the sanctuary of hope, that which makes us strong and stronger. And we recognize that hope is love, and love is hope, and love is what we are. So as we sing together, I am remembering who I am, we remember the truth beneath all appearances, that love is stronger than death, and that love is the nature of our being. We sing this song for ourselves, but we also sing this song for everyone, for all of our loved ones, known and unknown, in this center, beyond this center, in the universe, all beings everywhere, we bless with our song, I am remembering who I am. In the gift of this divine remembrance, let us be strong, let us be powerful, let us be love. And we breathe in, and then exhale, gently opening our eyes in love with what is, as it is, and so it is.
Good morning, everyone. Before I sing, if I may say a couple of words, and there's so much to be grateful for. I rehearsed this morning with the band, and God just put something else on my heart to sing this morning, so don't hate me. This is my prayer for all of you. Let's just do. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Oh, in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Oh, for thine is the kingdom and the power, yes, and the glory forever, 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 forever. Everybody say, oh, amen. God bless you. Thank you.
It's really, really good to see you. Really good to see you safely here. It's really good to tell you, too, that the story that Brock told you was absolutely true. That I knew that we were going to be safe going up there, and except when the man told me to step on the live wire. And he was mansplaining and telling me exactly why it was going to be okay. And I just said to him, you step on it first, okay? And he did, and he didn't go ping into it. He just was fine, so anyway. So, boy, where do we start with this? The name of this message is What Matters Most. And I was inspired to speak about this because I spoke to so many people that either evacuated or were almost having to evacuate, and talking about what they would bring if they left, or what they did bring when they left. Many of you have been asking about my house and my family and my husband and my dogs and all, and we're fine. We thought we would have to evacuate on Monday night, but the fires shifted and, sadly burnt up part of Ventura, but we were okay. But we did go to bed in our clothes that first night, and thought about things to bring. And gosh, it's so weird. I had just done all of my Christmas cards. I had just addressed all of them, and I was like, I am not leaving those Christmas cards. I worked hard on them. My shoes that are comfortable, that are hard to find, and all of that stuff. But most people say that they would bring photographs that are not on computer, or important papers, documents, passports, keepsakes, things with great sentimental value, maybe a few items of clothing and some toiletries, and that's about it. And all of that stuff feels like it's what matters most to us. By the same token, everything that gets left behind matters too. I don't want to diminish what some people in this congregation and many people in our community have gone through, that they've lost their homes and all of the memories that were attached to those things. There was a picture of our veterinarian who I've worked with for 14 years, and we have a lot of animals, so I see him a lot. And he and his wife lost their home, and there's a picture of them just crying in front of their home, and it just broke my heart to see, what people are going through. And I know that there are people sitting in this congregation that have had that same experience, so I don't want to diminish that for anybody by saying that it's going to be okay, but the truth is that it is going to be okay. This almost feels like a memorial service. I've done probably 100 memorials in my time as a miracle. All right, I accept. Time as a minister, and you always do three things. You talk about the life that was, and the life that was beautiful, and you mourn the passing of that which was, but you also quickly move into the place of celebrating of the new life that is to be, because whenever anything falls and is destroyed, whenever anything is burned up or consumed, matter has to go someplace, and it transforms into new energy, and it transforms into new experiences. So there is something rising out of these ashes, and I think God is calling right now to tell us what that is. Is that Andrew's phone? I'm so excited. Okay. All right. Andrew, it's Broadway calling you. They heard you. Yeah. So there is something better coming for all of us, and I trust that, and I know that. Part of what allows that to come into being, though, is our focus on what matters most. And certainly, as I said, the things that we bring with us and the things that we leave behind, all of those things matter greatly because they build a life, and there's nothing wrong with things. But also all of the things that we bring with us and all of the things that we leave behind, even if they were lost, they're all, in truth, a symbol for something else, for something intangible. They are an impermanent symbol for something that is permanent. Anything that you can name in your home, anything that you lost, anything that you brought with you, anything that you left behind is truly a symbol for something greater. Something like love, something like joy, something like connection, something like community. All of those things represent something. And just like that poem that Hugh read, where he said that hope stays, all of those things stay with you. They all are with you now, and they will be with you always. I wanted to talk a little bit about what the science of mind would say about this situation in Ventura. If Ernest Holmes were here, what might he say? I've shared with you before that when I was first starting out in this teaching, I was at the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science, and it was I was taking my first class, my foundations class, and during the class, the Northridge earthquake happened. And so there were people in the class that lost their homes, and then there were people that didn't have any damage whatsoever, and then there were people that were in between. And because in this teaching we talk about how we create what happens to us, there were a lot of people that were kind of, judging the people that had lost their homes, saying, what was in your consciousness that you lost your home? Yeah, I know. It's pretty rude, right? And then, well, just to, balance the equation here, there were those that didn't have any damage whatsoever, and they were feeling mighty proud of themselves, right? That they had the consciousness that wouldn't lose a home. Now, I'm really glad to see you all reacting the way that you are, because we don't do it like that in this center, and I think many of the centers are moving away from that. That is just a sophisticated form of God is punishing me because he hates me. It's just a more updated version of that. I'm punishing myself because my consciousness is a pile of dung, okay? So it's not that, and that is not what the Science of Mind teaching would say. We say that we create what happens, but what I say is that we create our experience of what happens. In the Bible it says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust, right? The fire burns the just and the unjust. And one thing I have noticed about this fire is that it has no regard for who you are, how good you are, what you've done in your life, how you prayed. Did you do all 5 steps of the spiritual mind treatment? Did you remember to release so the prayer didn't get stuck, right? It doesn't matter if you are progressive, conservative, or somewhere libertarian, or somewhere in between, all of those things. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what color. It doesn't take any notice of the color of your skin. It doesn't take any notice of anything. It just does what it does. But where we reclaim our power, where we become Ventura County strong, is how we react to what it does when it does what it does. How will we be with what happens? Will we give all of our power to the fire and the smoke and the destruction and the despair? Or will we take it back and build something anew that rises up out of the ashes? And how do we do that? Part of how we do that is focusing on the spiritual truth of the matter. Several years ago, I was in a seminar with a bunch of ministers, and there was a minister named Arlene from Florida. And for those of you who have lived in Florida, you may recall that there are a certain number of hurricanes, I would say, right, where things are destroyed on a fairly regular basis. And this Reverend Arlene was in Florida, and her church was destroyed. I think there was a portion of it that was still standing of it, but much of it was knocked down, and the roof was blown off, and there was water damage and wind damage and just devastating destruction. And Arlene said that she stood on the threshold of the church, and she said, I am going to stay here until I know the spiritual truth. And she paced back and forth for several hours, and she didn't know the truth, so she didn't go in. And then several more hours, she still didn't know the truth, so she didn't go in. And then finally, after hours and hours of pacing and praying, she knew the truth. And the truth that she knew is that God is bigger. God is greater. All of those things that I said, the attachment to things that are actually representative of something else, that your mementos represent love, that your memories represent joy, that your things represent happiness or abundance or whatever it is, all of those are qualities of God, or qualities of love if you choose to call it love. And love is bigger than any destruction. Love is greater than the smoke. Love is greater than the fire. Love is greater than the ashes. Love is greater than the destruction. Love is greater than the despair. Love is greater than injury. Love is greater than anything that the world can dream up, because love is the changeless reality, the absolute reality that is in back of all things, that is the source of all things. So we hold on to that essence and knowing that love is greater than anything that the world can dish up, and we anchor ourselves in that. And that is the spiritual truth. So whatever you're going through, Whatever challenges you encounter in the next coming months, weeks, days, years, whatever it is, we keep reminding ourselves, love is greater than this. There's a story or a saying that it's you don't tell God or love how big your problems are. You tell your problems how big your love is, right? So can you do that with this situation? If you encounter somebody who is in pain, if you encounter yourself having lost something, can you just say to yourself, you know, this seems like a big problem, but I know that love is bigger, love is greater, love is stronger, love will prevail because love is the absolute reality and love is who I am. This love lives and moves and has its perfect being in me. It will take knowing that for us to get through this and to rise from the ashes. The other thing that I think it will take is, what I often say, is living like this truth of love, the supremacy of love, living like this truth is true, and also bearing witness to the evidence that this truth is true. So let me say just a few words about living like the truth is true. And the truth we're talking about is the supremacy of love, that love is stronger than anything. One way that we can live as if the truth of love is true is to allow people to help us. Did anybody just have like a little moment? In the front row, perhaps? Yeah. There's another story about a man who was shipwrecked, and he was floating on a piece of driftwood in the ocean, and he prayed to God, God, please help me, please help me. You may have heard this story before. It's a popular one among ministers. He's praying, God, help me, please. And all of a sudden, an ocean kayaker comes by, and he's wiggling his hips, and he's rowing, and he says, hey, dude, I got space for one more. Come on, get on my kayak. And the guy said, no, I'm waiting for God to help me. You know, the stories happen in threes. Then a speedboat comes along, and he pulls up to the guy, and he slows down, and he says, come on, get on my boat. And the guy says, no, waiting for God to help me. And then a helicopter goes by overhead, drops down a rope ladder, and says, climb up, please, climb up. By all means, climb up. I am here to help you. And the guy says, no, thank you. I'm waiting for God. I asked God to help me, and God's going to help me. The helicopter drove away. Hours later, the guy's still on this piece of driftwood, and he's shaking his fist at God, and he's saying, God, I begged for help. Why didn't you help me? And what does God say? Well, dude, I sent you a kayak and a boat and a helicopter, right? You know, and I was thinking about this in terms of the science of mind teaching and prayer and how we say that prayer works, and how many of us were praying for no destruction and for the fire to stop. And maybe the answer to prayer is something different than we anticipated. Maybe the prayer is the helicopter and the boat and the kayak that looks like all of us reaching out to each other. But for all of us to reach out to each other, those of us that need help have to allow ourselves to be helped, to receive help. And it's hard. You know, particularly if you're a giver, and I think that a lot of people in this congregation are givers. I know for me the other night, you know, I needed help with something, and oddly, it felt like it was too much to ask, and also too trivial to ask. You ever experienced that? You know, it's either too much or too little, and you can't really decide which it is, which means you should probably do it, right? And we were going out to the theater, and we'd had these tickets for a while, and they were expensive, and I really wanted to go, and it was Thursday night, and then the fires started coming back in Santa Paula, and I didn't want to leave my house unattended. And so beloved Annette forced me to ask for help. She said, have someone come over and babysit your dogs and just have them page you or call you if something changes. And sure enough, I did, and from that place, I was able to enjoy the show a lot more because I asked for help, but it wasn't easy. And so there may be things for you where you have to ask for help. You know, even if your home wasn't damaged, there is probably work to be done, cleaning to be done. Jennifer said, what do we have, 200 volunteers or something? 200 people or so show up and say that they wanted to help with something. People whose homes were damaged, if you need heavy lifting done, if you need places, items to support you, if you need a place to stay, we're working on all of that for you. Two of our congregants, Bill and Scott, I believe, I don't know where Bill is, but he's around here somewhere. Bill and Scott are building sifters out of wood and mesh to sift through. Isn't that a beautiful idea, to sift through debris? So we can go to your place and go through your stuff with you. We're offering free spiritual support, free spiritual counseling, And there's a whole list. You'll see it. It's on the handout that Annette and Jennifer and I created. But we're really here for you, and we want to be here for you. And that's the other thing. I said, okay, God is bigger than all of this. God is the love. God is the interconnection, and that interconnection is showing up as all of us supporting one another. It's living like that truth is true, which means being willing to accept help. And it also means bearing witness to that truth and seeing all of the goodness and all of the help that is out there, and most especially in here. There are so many good things happening in this center right now. When we're done with the service, you'll go into the social hall, and there's a table full of items for people to take if they need them. All kinds of useful things. And we'll keep that going for a while. And we have referrals to places for you if what you need is not there. There are many, many, many opportunities to help. And one of the things that we say in this church is that we focus on, we quote Mr. Rogers, and we say, when there's a disaster, you focus on the helpers. And one of the greatest ways to focus on the helpers is to become a helper yourself. And there are so many beautiful areas to serve, where we can serve one another, where we can love one another, where we can let love triumph, because love will always triumph, and this way we get to enjoy the ride. We get to enjoy and be part of the solution. We get to be greater than the fires. We get to be greater than the smoke. We get to be greater than the devastation. We get to be the face of love and the feet of love and the hands of love and the heart of love that get this done, that get this mother done, okay? All right? And we can do it. I know we can do it. This is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It kind of stinks right now, literally and figuratively, but it is going to be okay. It really is. And you can trust me on that. I manifested those two strong men, okay? Trust me on that. One more thing I want to say about helping others. I think one more thing, we'll see. Sometimes one of the ways you can help other people, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, is to give them their space, right? I remember when I had cancer 7 or 8 years ago, whenever it was, and there were so many people that wanted to help me, and I knew that if they came over to help me, I would start taking care of them, right? And so I just had to have my space. And so if you are someone that needs help, but your help looks like isolation for a little bit, if it looks like hibernation for a little bit, then by all means, feel free to take that. And the people who are offering help will have to understand. That's part of the beauty about this too, is that what we are going through right now as a community, as a Ventura community, Ventura County community, and as a center, as a church community, all of this will require greater vulnerability, greater intimacy, greater communication, greater understanding, and greater compassion, and greater forgiveness. What could be wrong with that? It's a beautiful way for us to grow into a greater and deeper relationship with love, because as we are changing the vision statement, we're still working on it, but we are saying, yes, we still love as God loves. However, we are changing it to, we are a center of love, where we choose to be love, share love, and serve love. This is a great opportunity to do all of that. One more thing. Do not underestimate the power of consciousness and how you can be and who you can be through all of this. There is a poem by Shantideva that Nipun Mehta read, I think the last time he spoke here. And I adapted it for us for the fires, and I'm going to have you read it and repeat after me. And you know what? Maybe we should hold hands again, if that's all right, because we're going to be this for each other. So center into your awareness and know the spiritual truth about yourself right now. You don't have to repeat this part. Center into the awareness. Know the spiritual truth about yourself right now and take these words to heart, because these are the words that will bless and sustain us in the coming months. Please repeat after me. May I be a place of safety. May I be a place of safety. May I be a humble source of goodwill. May I be a humble source of goodwill. I am water. I am shelter. I am abundant ease, grace, and faith. I am hope in the face of despair. A resting place for the weary. A source of refuge for those who are displaced. I am a reservoir of plenty. A revealer of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of beings, may I bring sustenance, awakening all to the gifts in everything. Together we endure like the earth and the sky. All beings are freed from sorrow. And all beings are home. And so it is. Let us pray. I'll put this on my blog, by the way, so you can get a copy of it. I turn within and center into the power and the presence of the Most High, the living God, the power of love, that which is greater than any adversity. I center into that awareness and know that it is the wholeness that embraces the entire universe, and that this wholeness is taking place right here, right now, in me, in us, in our beloved community, in the world. And I anchor in this wholeness to see past the appearance of destruction and to know the spiritual truth for all beings. Right now, we are held in the heart of love. Right now, we know that love is greater. Right now, we know that we are courageous. Right now, we know that love will prevail. Right now, we see past appearances. Right now, we are a source of good and a source of love and a source of abundance and a source of helpfulness to all beings. I see all beings healed and whole in this reservoir of goodness that we contain in our hearts and in our consciousness. And I see this reservoir of goodness filling this sanctuary and also reaching out beyond the walls of the sanctuary to bless all beings everywhere. Certainly to extend our love to those in other communities that were affected by these fires, and also reaching around the world, reaching into the universe to bless everyone. How good it is to know this truth and to know that we can be part of the solution, that we can be part of the healing, that we can be the revealers of wholeness in all things. And to know that spirit, that love, that God, higher power is with us in everything. That divine urge, that urgency that causes us to seek helpfulness, that causes us to seek a greater way. I'm so grateful for that. So grateful for the transformation that I know is occurring here today through our spiritual work. So grateful for the power and presence of love in all things. I bless this center and every single person in it. I bless all paths to God everywhere, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams. I bless all beings, for all beings are a blessing. And with a heart filled with love, blessedness, hope, openness, wholeness, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, God. And I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is. I am so blessed.
hang all the mistletoe. I wanna get to know you better this Christmas. And as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together. This Christmas, fireside is blazing bright. We're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me. Loving each other will make the season bright. Loving each other will make the season bright. Presents and cards are here. My world is filled with cheer and you. This Christmas, and as I look around, your eyes that shine the town, they do. This Christmas, fireside is blazing bright. I have a sore throat, help me sing. We're caroling through the night. Hey, and this Christmas will be a very, for who? Loving each other. Loving each other will make the season bright. Loving each other will make the season bright. Presents and cards are here. My world is filled with cheer and you. Help me sing it. Hey. And as we look around, your eyes that shine the town, they do. Fireside is blazing bright, oh Lord. We're caroling through the night, and this will be Merry Christmas for me. Loving each other will make us season bright. Loving each other will make the season bright. Last time. Loving each other will make the season bright.